My name is Faye Young. I'm the Residency Program Director, and I have co-presenting with me Hannah Nazaroff, who's one of our chief residents, and she'll follow me. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to highlight our program. I think I really want to reiterate what Dave and Keegan have been saying, that you guys have the world in front of you right now. You have so many programs that you can look at, and be assured that every single program is an excellent program. Every program is going to have their slight nuances. They're going to have their pros, they're going to have their cons, but you are ultimately going to graduate an excellent orthopedic surgeon with great skills. Every program is dedicated to your success. Every program knows that your success is our success. So you're really in a lucky position. So our program, as I said, is one of the bigger programs. Some programs have 10, we have 27 this year. And so here are some of the residents of our program. 5 of our trainees are from outside of Canada. This year, we're looking at taking 5 residents, and that's a number that's mandated by the ministry. So the ministry tells us we're going to take 4 residents that are from the Canadian medical system, and 1 is from a competitive stream, and that's a position that's open to either a Canadian medical grad or an international medical grad. And again, that's determined by the BC Ministry of Health. As I mentioned, our program is big, and we train not only residents, but we have fellows, and we have approximately 30 fellows on a year-to-year basis, and 50 faculty, as opposed to some of the smaller programs. And one of the things that becomes different about a big program like this is that because we're so big, and because we are also a fellowship program, we have a global reputation, and that really gives you the advantage of having connections internationally, if that's something that you're interested in pursuing. So how is our rotation set up? Well, I think it's pretty similar to most of the other programs right there. The mothership is Vancouver General Hospital, and that's where you spend most of your off-service time in general surgery, vascular surgery, plastic surgery, and also some of your heavier core rotations are also there in spine, hip and knee arthroplasty, trauma, and oncology. VGH is a quaternary referral service, and it services all of BC, as well as in some of these things, because they're super subspecialized, a lot of the areas of Western Canada as well. We also have UBC Hospital, which is considered sort of a satellite site of VGH, and that's up on the hill at UBC. Uncomplicated hip and knee arthroplasty is done there, as well as arthroscopic surgery. St. Paul's Hospital is downtown, and you'll see the extremities there, foot and ankle, as well as upper extremity. And then, of course, BC Children's Hospital is dedicated to peds. So what does that look like for you in terms of your commute? Well, VGH is in the corner right here in the middle. And then you have a small commute to St. Paul's Hospital, small commute to BC Children's Hospital if you're there. And then you get to go to UBC Hospital out in the peninsula. I brought this map to you because you can see that you're basically surrounded in water. So wherever you're driving, even though it's a slightly longer commute than perhaps in Saskatchewan, you've got a great view. We also have the Royal Columbian Hospital, and that's a specialized trauma center just outside in the Fraser Valley. It's actually in a different health authority. And this is a particularly interesting rotation because we do a lot of orthopedic trauma there, and there is some specialty hand, foot, and ankle and sports. And I'll show you this on the map why that's interesting as well. So it's a little bit more eastern, towards the valley, and it's immediately adjacent to the #1 Trans-Canada Highway. It's also adjacent to a lot of the farmland, which you see on your far right there. And what that means is that you actually get a lot of high energy injury there. So while VGH is a quaternary referral site, you might see very severe but colder trauma. You see a lot of very severe hot trauma at the Columbian. It's also an excellent operative opportunity where the staff is very dedicated in giving you hands-on experience. We also have an up north community training site up in Prince George, and that's a community orthopedic surgical rotation where you do general orthopedics. We usually send you there in your senior years of rotation of your residency program, and we consider it finishing school. You're afforded a great deal of independent operating time there. And so this is your opportunity to essentially function as an independent staff in a community center prior to graduating. In terms of your rotational setup, again, this is a very busy slide, really describing a very interesting and action-packed year. And it's similar to a lot of what's offered in the other programs, where you have a dedicated ortho boot camp that happens as soon as you enter the program in July, and a surgical foundations crash course. And in boot camp, you're doing surgical skills, specialized skill trainings on models, sawbones, and cadavers. And this year we implemented formal VR training. So each of our R1s receive their own headsets so that they can be training on their own. And that's right. If you enter a program as an R1, you get your own VR headset. And we're actually going to be monitoring your growth as a surgeon throughout your years using VR training. In terms of the rest of the rotation schedule, PGY 2, 3, and 4, really it's graduated independence, graduated incremental exploration of your surgical skills and your interest towards the completion at the final in your 5th year of residency in the Royal College exam. Towards our 3-4 year, you're given a series of selectives and electives to really tailor your training to whatever subspecialty practice that you may want to pursue after you graduate. Of course, there's didactic teaching as well, and there's a formal curricular training. Every week we have weekly province-wide grand rounds. We have academic half day every week and daily morning rounds of teaching. And intermittently we have special skills labs like the fracture fixation lab, arthroscopy lab, and funded courses like the AO course. So you'll want to know what are our top strengths, what differentiates us from other programs, and I would put it down to 3 things. The first thing is strong leadership, the second is diversity, and the third is innovation. In terms of leadership, we've recently had a renewal. Dr. Kishore Mulpuri was recently inducted as our department head approximately 1.5 years ago and 2 years ago, and has essentially given us a new strategic plan with the philosophy of a stronger community going from local to global. And that's one of the criticisms of a larger program is it's not quite as intimate. But one of the real strategic plans that we're working on is really to foster a tighter knit community. We do already have a tight-knit community, but really enforcing some of these really strengthening some of these concepts, making sure that we're collaborating effectively to give you the best program possible. I'm also part of that renewal strategy with a new leadership change. I'm the new program director, and I've been in for approximately a couple of months. And so with change, there's always going to be new things, new principles, but we still are working on a background of established principles and keeping stability. So Dr. Brookhouse, who many of you know, was a program director for 14 years, and he remains really intimately involved in the program, and it is staying on as a formal role in our education portfolio. In terms of diversity, what do I mean by that? Well, in diversity, of course, we have different faces, different ethnic backgrounds. There's a diversity in that, and there's a diversity of practice patterns. So because you're going to see so many different people doing so many different things in so many different ways, you're going to be able to pick and choose what you like for your own practice and integrate them with your own. And as mentioned previously, we have such a comprehensive exposure to quaternary level super specialty exposure in all areas such as musculoskeletal oncology and spine, that you really get to see the nitty-gritty, the really special, weird, and wonderful things at UBC. Moreover, with a diverse program, as I've said to you before, we have a global presence. And so anything that you're interested in doing, not just in BC, not just in Canada, but around the world, we have connections to that for you. Our third strength is in the area of innovation. Here's a slide just highlighting some of the smaller things, some of the programs that we have. The Global Clubfoot Initiative has been something that's been really important in making clubfoot treatment accessible all around the world. And that came from our program. I'm really proud of Dr. Brian Kwan, who is an award-winning researcher and innovator in the area of spine surgery. He's been working in the area of spinal regeneration technology. So I still have that thing going on where the whole Zoom thing is narrating to me who's coming in and going out. So sorry, it's very distracting, pardon me. At any rate, Dr. Kwan is working in spinal regeneration technology, and he actually has a DARPA contract, which is really interesting. DARPA, for those of you that don't know, is a US defense agency, and is responsible for some major technological changes in the world, like inventing the internet. And so we're really excited that Dr. Kwan has secured a contract with DARPA and is working with them. Some of you may know Dr. Danny Goyle, who is one of the founders of Precision OS. And we really do believe that VR is going to change the way that we train and practice. And so working with him and collaborating with him, we've adopted VR into our training program this year, and now it's part of our formal curriculum. Many of you may also know Dr. Adrian Wang from scrubbedout.com, who's our local social media guru and is really making a huge impact on education virtually around the world. So we're very excited that he's one of our faculty as well. Now, one of the things that I like to tout in Vancouver is where we live. Where you train is really important, but where you live is also really important. We do have a mantra where we work hard, but we also want you to have the opportunity to play hard as well. And as many of you know, Vancouver is one of the top best places to live in the world. So we're quite proud of that. And if you want to come visit us, we'd be happy to see you. And really anything that you want to do, anything that you want to see, anything that you want to eat, we have it in Vancouver. We have culture, we have Vancouver Film Festival, we've got ballet, we've got what's in town is the Cirque du Soleil, world-class mountain biking, Whistler's in our backyard. It's an hour and a half away for amazing skiing. And incredibly, you can ski and you can go to the beach on the same day. That's entirely possible because we don't have snow. So I like all the comments that if you live in Saskatchewan or if you live in Newfoundland, your commute is really short, and it's true. Our commutes are a little bit longer, but you'll never have to factor shoveling snow into your time before work. So on that note, if you want to find out more about our program, we just announced that we'll be having a program information night. It's our open house on November the 30th. So please do visit us on that. These are our two Instagram handles. So what's the term? Like, link, and subscribe. And if you do have any questions, we're happy to answer them. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn the screen over to Dr. Nazarov.
I wanted to just share a few photos just so you guys get an understanding of kind of what it looks like to be in our program. I think just to highlight a few of the things from my perspective that Dr. Leung mentioned before we get into the photos is I think that from a resident's perspective, one of the biggest things that I love about our program is actually the fact that we do have some fellows, because I think having fellows in different subspecialties allows a really good opportunity for learning. It allows them to give you insight into their experiences with fellowships and jobs, and it really allows them to also give you some formal teaching on different topics. And I think the other thing is that there's a really great volume of cases to be had because it is a larger volume center, and even though there's more residents and more fellows, I think the volume that we have is such that you get to see a lot of different things and a huge variety of things. And then lastly, I would say our teaching is really great in that not only do we have our half days, but we do have dedicated morning teaching almost every day of the week. And I think that there's a lot of kind of, little details that you pick up along the way as a resident from R1 all the way to R5 that you just learn in these little informal teaching sessions Monday through Friday in the morning, but you'd be surprised over the course of your training how accumulative some of that learning is and the learning opportunities you get just from having daily practice doing different cases of different subspecialties. And now just to highlight a few things, again, Dr. Leung mentioned this, but on the left, this is a picture of my co-resident, Michaela, and I. We went down to New Orleans and we went to the AO Advanced Trauma course there. We went and did a little tour of the bayou. But that was, we were able to do that because our program funds us to go to all of our different AO courses. And so that was fun. And then on the right, you see we do have arthroscopy labs that we get to be a part of frequently. And this was a recent one that we did. So that's something that we get the opportunity to do. And then if I go here, this is a picture on the left of my co-residents and I back when we were R1s. And that's just kind of an idea of how the fun you kind of get to have in your boot camp or that first year, that first month in your residency where you're getting to learn lots of hands-on skills. And over in the back in the corner is one of the R5s at the time teaching us how to do different types of casts. but you can just see that it's overall a really collegial, fun environment. Something that doesn't come up as much on the which in the other programs, or maybe people don't mention, is that, you know, our program is incredibly understanding and accepting of all the different things that you want to do in life, and then that might include having a family, and then that might include having a family even in your residency. So I've been blessed to have 2 kids over the course of my residency, and I've been greatly supported in that, despite complications or you know, other issues. So, and I'm not the only resident to have done that, and certainly many of our residents and or even male residents have had some of their significant others go on to have kids during residency. And I think our program is very well known across the country at being supportive of that. And lastly, this is a picture from this year's retreat. We get to do an annual resident retreat. We often go up to Whistler and the surrounding area for some hiking and, you know, lake play. But that's one of the pictures from this past year's resident retreat. And on top of that, we often have, you know, resident wellness half days. So we incorporate that into our you know, weekly half day schedule. In fact, this upcoming Thursday, we are getting the opportunity to have a really interesting wellness session with some of the Indigenous elders from British Columbia. So and that's me.